Everyone, welcome back to another session of Core Java tutorials. In the previous lecture, we have seen how to use labeled break. In this video, we'll be seeing how to use labeled continue. So continue is also one of the jump statements. Jump statements are used to transfer the control from one part of the program to another part of the program. So we'll be using continue. So what is the purpose of the continue is that sometimes it is useful to force an early iteration of a loop. So that is, you might want to continue running the loop, but stop processing the remainder of the code in its body for this particular iteration. So this is in effect a go-to statement. So that is like you just want to bypass the rest of the code and go to the condition of the while loop. So the continue statement performs such an action like the goto statement. But goto is a reserved word in Java, but you cannot use goto in the programs. So in while and do while loops, a continue statement causes control to be transferred directly to the conditional expression that controls the loop. So whenever you're using continue inside your while or do while loop, the control will be transferred to the conditional expression. But in the for loop, what happens is whenever a continue is encountered, the control goes first to the iteration portion of the for statement and then to the conditional expression. So this is what will happen, and the intermediate code is bypassed. So let us see what is the use of continue first in a program, and then we'll see what is labeled continue. So let me write a program here. So this is the skeleton of my Java program. So inside this skeleton, so I'm writing a loop. So I said for int I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. This is the block of my for loop. So inside the for loop, I'm writing a condition. I'm saying if I is equal to 3. Okay, so if I is equal to 3, I'm saying continue. Okay, and after that, I'm writing a statement which is system.out.println, and I want to print the value of I. Okay, so you can observe that I have written this system.out.println after this continue statement. So there is some code after this continue statement. Okay, so whenever this continue is encountered, it becomes this, whenever this if condition is true, the continue statement will execute. So this continue statement will take, skip the statements after it. Okay, so it will bypass the statements after it, and the control will go to the iteration. Okay, so it goes to the increment or the decrement operation over here, and it goes to the iteration portion over here, and then it will check the condition. Okay, so let us see the execution of this and understand what is the output. So you can see I is equal to 1. So the loop, the condition is checked, 1 is less than 5, so condition is true. So it enters into the for block. Here the first statement is if I is equal to 3, so I is equal to 1. So this condition failed, so it will print I for you. So 1 is printed on the screen for us. Okay, fine. And in the next statement, what happens is I will become 2. So the condition is checked. The condition is checked, 2 is less than or equal to 5, true. So then what happens? So it checks this condition, 2 is equal to 3, which is false. So it continue will be skipped and it will come to this statement. So it has printed 2 on the screen. And then it goes for the third iteration where 3 is less than or equal to 5, condition is true. So it enters and checks for this if condition where 3 is equal to 3. So now what happened is this if condition became true. So as this if condition became true, the statement inside the if block, which is continue, will execute. Now what this continue will do is it will actually take the control. This control will take the it will skip the rest of the statements after it, and it will take the control to the iteration portion. So the iteration portion is I plus plus. So I was 3. Now I became 4. Okay, so now the condition is checked where 4 is less than or equal to 5. So condition is true. So again, it enters into the for block. So 4 is equal to 3 is false. So what happens is like this continue is skipped, and it comes to this system.out.println statement and prints I for you, which is equal to 4. And then it goes for the next iteration and the same thing repeats and 5 is printed. As you can see, like in the output. Okay, so as you can see in the output, I have 1, 2, 3 is skipped. Okay, so this statement is skipped because of the continue statement. And then 4 and 5 are printed. So this is how actually the continue works. Now, say for example, I'm having a nested loop and I want to go to a particular for loop and continue that statement. For example, the use of this continue, we write programs with loops only most of the time. However, for these particular special circumstances, we might need an early iteration. Okay, so in that case, we'll be using a continue statement, which provides an early iteration, which pushes the loop for going into an early iteration. So let us see labeled continue now. To understand labeled continue, so I want to produce an output which is a triangular multiplication table. So the triangular multiplication table looks like this. Okay, so I have 1, then 1, then I'll be having 2 and 4. Okay, so then 3, 6 and 9. So then I'll have 4 and then 8 and 12 and 16. So 5, 10, 15, 20 and 25. So I'll be printing something like this, which is like a triangular multiplication table. Okay, right. To produce this output, we'll see how to write the instructions, and I will also will be using a labeled continue. So let us do that. So I'm labeling my outer loop. So I'm saying outer. I have labeled the loop as outer, which is a Java valid identifier. So then I'm writing. So I want my loop to iterate from 1. So I have multiplication table from 1, right? So this is 1. So I want it from 1, and I want it from 1 through whatever you want. You can put, like, say I want from 1 to 9. Okay, so for that, I'll be saying int I is equal to 1, and then I is less than 10. Okay, so I want till 9 table. So I said I is equal to less than 10 and all that. Okay, and I have labeled this outer loop as outer. Okay, now this is my outer block. So I have entered into my loop. So inside the loop, I'll be deciding on the J factor. So what is the J factor here is, what is a J is how many times, how many I want to print over here. So to print a triangle, in the first case, I'll just print the numbers. So no numbers are there on the right. For 2, I'll be printing only 2 numbers. For 3 table, I'll be printing only 3 numbers. For 4th table, I'll be printing only 4 numbers. And for 5, I'll be printing only till 5 numbers. Okay, so like that. So for 6th table, I'll be printing only till 6. Okay, 6, 6 like that. Okay, fine. So coming back over here. So my inner loop should be coded in such a manner. I should start from int j is equal to 1. And now I'll be writing a condition like j is also less than 10 and then j plus plus, but inside it I will code it in that manner. Okay, because I can I'm having till 9 table, right? So I need to give for the 9th table, I need to give till 9 nines are. So that's the reason why we are iterating the inner loop also till, okay, till 9 times, from j is equal to 1 to j is equal to 9. So 9 times we are iterating the inner loop also. So outer loop also we are iterating till 9 because you want 9 till 9 table, and the inner loop is iterating 9 times to get 9 numbers. Okay, right. So to form the triangle, what I'm doing is I'm writing a logic here that if j is greater than I, what I'm doing is I'm continuing the outer loop. Okay, fine. So let me write system dot out dot println. So in this, I just want it to go to the new line, because after printing 1, it need to go to the new line and then print 2 and 4. And then it has to go to the new line and print 3, 6, 9 and all that. So each and every table should be in the new line. So that's the reason why I have given system.out.println. Okay. So println means that print new line. Okay, so now I'll write this continue. So continue, and then I'm giving the label of the outer loop. So which is nothing but outer. So I'm saying continue outer. Okay, so this is the end of my if block. So you can say like this is end if. This if block will be executed only if j is greater than I. Okay. So if j is not equal to, j is not greater than I, what we have to do is we have to print the table, right? So I'm saying system.out.print. Okay, so I don't want print ln, I want print because it has to print on the same line. So I want some space over here, and then a plus, and then I'll say I into j. Okay, fine. This is the closing of my print statement and the semicolon. So this is my inner for and this is my outer for. Let us see the execution of this program and I'll explain you. Okay, very well, fine. So you can see the output over here very clearly mentioned. You can see the output. We got very clearly a triangular multiplication table, as I already told you, like how I have shown you here. Like this is 1, and then I had 2 and 4 and 3, 6 and 9 and all that. So let me show you how we got this output and how this labeled continue works. I is equal to 1. So condition is true, 1 is less than 10. So condition is true. So what happens? It enters into the inner loop. So in the inner loop, so we are setting j is equal to 1. Okay, so 1 is less than 10. So this condition is also true. So now we enter into the inner loop. So inside the inner loop, we are checking like 1 is greater than 1. So the condition is false. So what happens? It goes out of the end, this if block, and then sees any statements are there. So there are statements. So what it is, there is a space, and then we are printing I into j, like which is 1 into 1, which is equal to 1. So that is what we have got here, 1. Okay, so after this 1, what happens is like j will increment and j will become 2, and 2 is less than 10. The condition is true. So it enters into the internal for, and then it sees, it checks the condition over here. So what is the condition? The condition is like 2 is greater than 1. So when 2 is greater than 1, so this condition became true, and then it enters into the if block and prints a new line. So it will be going to the next line. And then inside, after going to the next line, what we are saying is continue. If we simply say continue, what will happen is it will go for the next iteration, like j will become 3 and then it will check. But what we did here, instead of giving continue, we have given continue outer. So now what will happen is it will search like where is this outer label. So the outer label is over here. So now it will check that this label is associated with an for block, and it will continue. Like I was is equal to 1 earlier. So now what happens is it goes to the iteration portion of this particular for. So which is nothing but 2, I will become 2 and 2 is less than 10, condition is true. So it comes again into the internal loop. So again it checks, like now I is equal to 2 and now j is equal to 1. 1 is less than 10, again it repeats. Okay, so is true. So 1 is greater than 2 is false. So what it will do is it will print this, which is 2 into 1. So which is 2. And then what happens? J will become 2 and then 2 is greater than 2 is false. So again, it prints this, which is 2 into 2, which is nothing but 4. And again, J will become 3. 3 is greater than 2, which is true. So now what happens? Again, it enters into the internal if block and goes to the new line. And then what we are saying, continue outer. So what will happen? This statement will be skipped and then it will go to this particular label, sees that there is a for loop here, goes to the iteration part, and now I will become 3. Okay, so again, everything checks, like 3 is less than 10 and it is true, and then it goes to the internal loop and all that. Okay, so this is how the labeled continue works. So that's it, friends. So I hope this video is helpful to you. Thank you for watching.